kickstart. So thanks very much. My name is Alex Hamilton. I'm the Senior Energy Engineer with the South East Energy Agency. And we're here today to give you some information on the Community Energy Grants programs that we work on, and our next application that we'll be hoping to submit in the next 8 weeks. So just some webinar etiquette today. We do have a lot of people on the call today. Usually I would say, we're quite relaxed with these webinars. So if you have questions and stuff, but there are a lot of people on the call today, so we would ask, please do not interrupt. I will talk for probably about 30 to 40 or so. We will have a questions and answers section at the end. If you have questions as we go along, please, there is a chat function at the bottom of your screen there with Zoom, so you can just type your question into the chat, and at the end, Ailish is on the call with me from the Energy Agency, and she's going to assist me with the questions and answers at the end, so please put them into the chat. If we run out of time and we don't answer them all, we will answer them after the webinar today. We will send around a question and answers, or a sheet with answers to all of the questions. Please do note that we are recording today's session. Mute yourself, please keep your mics off. As I said, there are a lot of people. Also, if you want to keep your videos off, you are of course free to leave your videos on. And again, during the questions and answers, if you want to have video on, but it just helps just to notify you we are recording, and if your video is on, then your camera will be seen throughout the recording. Just again, turn off any other apps or turn off any other things that might interrupt or cause the system to slow down for you on your end of the system. So that's just for today. So the agenda today, I'm just going to talk about who we are in South East Energy Agency. We're going to give an overview of the Community Energy Grants programs. We're going to look specifically at the application process and our role in the South East Energy Agency as the project coordinator of that application. We're going to look at the estimated timelines and then what you need to do if you would like to go ahead. As I said, I will talk for probably about 35-45 minutes, and then we'll have a 10-15 minute section at the end, hopefully for questions and answers. So who are we? So for any of you who has not heard of the South East Energy Agency, you may have heard of Carlow Kilkenny Energy Agency or the Three Counties Energy Agency. That is us. We are now rebranded, and we are now known as South East Energy Agency, but it's the same team behind the agencies. We were established in 2002 as Carlow Kilkenny. In 2016, we joined the agency and we became the Three Counties Energy Agency. And about 18 months ago, Waterford have also partnered with the Energy Agency, and we are now hence the South East Energy Agency. We're not for profit company, and we are a supplier. We are a supplier, which means we are a trusted intermediary. So we are there to give the hopefully correct and best practice technical advice, and we are not dependent or reliant on any supplier, so we are independent. We work with all sectors, including the public sector, communities, residential, commercial businesses, SMEs, farmers, etc. So anybody, so every energy user, so that's you and me, every energy user across the Southeast, anybody who uses energy and wants to save energy, that's what we are here to help you and support you to deliver the energy and climate transition across the Southeast. Just to give you a bit of background, and again, these are a quick summary of the projects that we've delivered from 2013 up until most recently. Literally, our last grant application was completed about 3 weeks ago and submitted for payment claim. We have another 3 applications that are in, or 2 applications that are in progress. We have another application that was submitted and is waiting for approval. So we work on the grant applications on an ongoing basis. So these figures are constantly updated. But just to give you an idea, again, across the different sectors, domestic being housing and home retrofits and upgrades. We work with education, library, cultural sectors, communities, that's your GEA clubs, your church buildings, anything like that. Private sector buildings, so hotels, offices, businesses, shops, etc. Pubs and bars, any private sector buildings. Public sector, we work a lot with the local authorities, the HSE and other public sector organisations, and then sports and leisure centres. So again, those are the sectors that we work across. To date, we have a total cost of projects delivered of 41 million euro, or just short of 41 million euro worth of projects that we've delivered over the last 10 years. And along with that, we have managed to draw down 19 million euro worth of grant from the SEAI through these programmes. So we have great experience over the last 10 years in delivering grant projects across all sectors with support SEAI. What does that mean in terms of savings? Again, our aim as the Energy Agency is to reduce energy consumption and reduce the greenhouse gas emissions across the southeast. That is our aim. So we have saved with those projects over 45 gigawatt hours or 45 million kilowatt hours. A kilowatt hour being, if you have a 100 watt bulb light and you leave that 100 watt bulb on for 10 hours, that is equivalent to 1 kilowatt hour. So we have saved 45 million kilowatt hours over that period. What does that mean to you? Because although kilowatt hours and tons means a lot to us in the Energy Agency, I know for you and your delivering projects, well, hopefully to save energy, but also to save money. And that has a saving to you, those who have delivered the projects, of almost 4.5 million euro. So we've saved 4.5 million euro a year on energy bills by delivering these projects. Avoided CO2, so again, we're reducing our CO2 emissions in our greenhouse by over 13,000 tonnes of CO2. Again, what does that mean? So 4.5 million euro in your pocket, you know what that means. And again, from our view, the tonnes of CO2 is what's important to us. So 1 tonne, just to give you an understanding of what it looks like or what it means when we say we save a tonne of CO2. So 1 tonne of CO2 is equivalent to 500 cubic meter hot air balloon. So a big giant hot air balloon, that's how much would be inside a hot air balloon, roughly 1 tonne. 1 tonne of carbon is 500 CO2 fire extinguishers. So look around your office or your building or wherever you are. If you've got one of those standard sized fire extinguishers, 500 of those fire extinguishers. A ton of carbon to 2.5 or 2.6 flights from Rome to Amsterdam. So get on the plane from Rome, go to Amsterdam, go back again, and do that over 2.5 times, and that's how much CO2 we have saved in 1 tonne. And it's also the equivalent of growing or planting 50 new trees and growing trees for a year. That's how much CO2 would be saved. So that's just to give you an idea, because again, we talk about kilowatt hours and CO2, so just to give you an idea of what that means. We have a couple of polls for you, and just so again, we've got a lot of people on the call today or on the webinar, so just so that I can get an idea as to who I'm talking to. There's a poll that's hopefully just jumped onto your screen there, and if you could just answer that, so you can just click your sector. So are you a private homeowner, or are you working with a housing association? Are you from a community group or an SEC? Are you a commercial SME or a non-domestic building company? Are you from the agricultural sector, the transport sector, or the public sector? If you're not from any of those sectors that we've outlined, there is in there for others. So if you I'll just leave that up for a few seconds. We've got about 67%, so about 40 people, maybe about 15 people or so still to answer. Just that gives me a rough idea of who it is that I'm talking today. So I can see, yeah, there's a lot of you there from the community and SEC sector, SEC being Sustainable Energy Communities for those who don't know. So yep, that's good. We've got a good lot of people from the SEC and community, and a good few then from the public sector as well. So that's great. Just give that another couple of seconds. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Eilish. So yeah, so I'm looking at community sector, public sector, a few of you from the commercial SME side, so that's great. There's on here as well. Okay, that's great. Perfect. Thanks, Eilish. We can end that poll and we can move on. So thank you very much. Right. So what are the community energy grants? Okay, so some of you will have worked with us or with others in the past on the community energy grants programs, and some of you will be new to this. So the what used to be called the BEC, or the Better Energy Communities Grants, now known as the Community Energy Grants Programme. It's run by the SEAI, so the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, and it's their grant programme. And they're supporting the homes, community buildings and businesses right across Ireland to become more energy efficient and reduce costs. So again, that's the SEAI's programme. It is a partnership, it's a group programme, so an individual community or an individual homeowner or individual local authority or public sector body or business cannot go to the SEAI and apply for these grants. You have to come through what they call a project coordinator, and you are put onto a group application. So that's what we're here to talk about today, is the group application that we are working on to submit, as I said, in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Who is it for? Said at the very start, every one of us uses energy and every one of us can save energy. So this grant programme is for everybody. Okay, so who is eligible? Absolutely everybody. If you have a building or a facility or a site that uses energy and you want to save energy and you want to deliver an energy saving project, then this programme is you're eligible for this programme, and you're eligible to get grant back through this programme. As I mentioned there, it's a partnership. This is a partnership, a group application. Okay, and I just want to show the links between the different and the main players within this partnership. Okay, so obviously the funding body is the SEAI, Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland. They are the funding body, the money. Okay, and what they want to do, instead of I'm going to call you are what we call the beneficiary. You are the one who wants the grant. You are the one who wants to do the project and wants to get. And rather than the SEAI dealing with 1,000 beneficiaries across the country, they want to deal with what they call the project coordinator. So there's about 10, 15 or so, I think maybe 10 or 12 project coordinators around the country, and the SEAI deal with us. So we are the South East Energy Agency, and we are a project coordinator, and we will deal with all of the other players. So we are in the middle, and we deal with the SEAI, we deal with you, we deal with what's called the lead applicant. Okay, so in our case, we work with the 4 local authorities in the South East, so Wexford County Council, Carlow County Council, Kilkenny County Council and Waterford City and County Council. So they are the lead applicants for our BEC application. It is their name, and they are applying for the grant to the SEAI. Okay, so we've got the funding body, we've got the lead applicant, we've got you who is doing the project and wants the grant, and we then have the contractor. Okay, so you have a contract with a contractor who is going to complete the works. Okay, so these are the main players, and this is the relationship. The SEAI will not deal with the lead applicant, contractor, and they will not deal with you. They deal with us as the project coordinator. Similarly, the lead applicant doesn't want to deal with your contractor, so we will deal with you and your contractor. So the project coordinator is the person in the middle, is the main contact between all of these main players. Again, as I've mentioned, there is a partnership requirement as part of this application. The scoring and marking that is given to each application that is submitted, a part of that is given to the partnership and the community element and the benefits within the region. So again, ourselves as the South East Energy Agency already have these partnerships built in across the 4 counties of Carlow, Kilkenny, Wexford and Waterford, specifically with the local authorities who I mentioned already act as the lead applicant. But of course we have been working for the last 10 years across the region, and we have many links to the public, private, community and domestic sector. So we have built these partnerships across the region, and it's this partnership with the local authority and with these other players that allows us to put in these community grant applications on your behalf. I'll talk a little bit about the participating energy supplier on another slide. Again, there has to be what we call a PES, or a participating energy supplier, on the application. And they are one of the obligated parties, or basically they are one of the electricity energy suppliers who have to save energy. And the way they save energy is that they support projects like yours in buying what we call an energy credit. So every project you want to do that saves energy, that energy that we're saving is called an energy credit, and the participating energy supplier will buy those energy credits from us, and they have to be included on the application. So again, we form that partnership at application stage. I'll go into a little bit more detail on a specific slide on that in a few minutes. Again, just to outline, and again, this is can be a little bit confusing or hard to understand, so I just want to put this down graphically and explain it to you very clearly from the start. And it's the grant cash flow of it. So again, we've talked about on this slide, we've talked about the different players who are involved. SEAI have the money, they want to get the money down to you for doing the project, but in reality, how does that work? So as I've mentioned, it is a group application. Okay, so you are the beneficiary here at the bottom. So you can see this image here has the same partners and the same players in it. So you are here, you are the one who wants the grant. Okay, so you have to, once it's awarded, and I'll go through the application in a minute, but just to give you an idea, once a grant is awarded for your project, you complete the project, or you get the contractor to complete the works, and you pay the contractor for the works. So you pay the contractor 100% of the works. What we then do is we take all of the financial documents and we submit that payment claim to the SEAI. So we say, here you go, SEAI, beneficiary number 1 has paid his contractor, they've done the work, it's all up to the standards as it should be within the grant terms and conditions. And here's the SEAI will inspect all of the paperwork, all of the documentation, and they will say, yep, we're happy with that project, we're going to pay out grant for that project. They pay the grant to the lead applicant. Okay, now bearing in mind that this is a group application and you as one beneficiary, there will be 10 or more beneficiaries on an application, so that this will be happening 10 times. Okay, so we will submit for 10 projects, or we might submit for 5 projects for the first 5 that are completed, for example. SEAI will then pay all of the money to the lead applicant, okay, which in this case is the local authority. So that one of the 4 local authorities is the lead applicant, the money into the local authority's bank. We then say to the local authority, okay, local authority, there are 5 beneficiaries that we submitted a claim for X amount of money. You need to pay the beneficiaries. So there's a lump sum that's paid from the lead applicant. We give the breakdown of what that is, and then the local authority will pay each of the 5 beneficiaries in this example their breakdown or their share of the grant. Okay, so that's how it works. You have to pay 100% up front. We submit it to SEAI. SEAI will pay the lead applicant, and the lead applicant will break it down and pay each of you your share. Just to give you an example of costs, okay, so for example, if your project is 100 worth of work, okay, so you pay €100,000 to the contractor. Let's say you have a 30% grant, you've been awarded 30% grant, so we put in a payment claim to SEAI to say they've spent €100,000, we're claiming for €30,000 grant back, please. The SEAI, and this again is a very important bit to understand, the SEAI will, as I said, go through that process. We're happy with that, and we're going to pay you 90%, okay? So you will not get the €30,000, you will get the 90%, which in this example is €27,000. And the reason for that is that there is 10 on all projects for what we call M&V, or measurement and verification, okay? The grant is awarded on an energy saving project, and we have to prove once the project is completed that we have actually saved the energy that we have said we are going to save. And this is what's called measurement and verification. So in general, kind of 9 to 12 months after the project has been completed, we, again, that's our role in the South Sea, we will come back to you, we will look at your project again, and we will show that the savings have been saved. We will do the analysis and we will issue a report to the SEAI. And once the SEAI are happy, oh yes, their energy has been saved, then they will pay out on the final 10%, and you will get your final €3,000 in this example. So that's just an example there of the cash flow. What is eligible? Okay, so what can you do? And as I mentioned earlier, any energy efficiency project, or most energy efficiency projects, are eligible for grant through this programme at the moment. The SEAI grants programs have what we call a building fabric first approach, okay? So if you have a building that needs its wall insulated or its attic insulated or needs new windows and doors, we have got to do these measures first, okay? If we have a building that doesn't have any wall or attic insulation and we apply for, let's say, an EV charger and a PV system, it will not be approved, okay? So we have to do what's called the building fabric first upgrade. And the way we know which projects we need to do is every building has to have an energy audit. And again, I'll talk about that in a second. So the building fabric first, so our insulations and our windows and doors, they are eligible. Technology and system upgrades, so for example, our mechanical and electrical equipment, pumps, heating systems, are eligible. However, we have to remove fossil fuels. So heating upgrades of, if you've got an oil boiler and you want to put in a new oil boiler, that is not eligible because we are not removing the fossil fuels. If you have an oil boiler and you want either a biomass boiler, for example, or a heat pump or a new efficient electrical system, for example, then that is eligible. We have got to remove fossil fuels. There is no grants available for any AHUs or air handling units, air conditioning units, etc. So any type of heating upgrade, as long as we are removing the fossil fuel, is eligible. Smart metering and controls, really important that we're controlling our systems. So there is grants for those. EV chargers, if you have a building or a business and you want to put in an EV chargers are grant aided. And of course then renewables. So as I mentioned before, there is an order of priority, let's say from SEAI, building fabric first, then we look at our mech and elec and our technologies, and only after we've improved all of these can we go and apply for renewable solutions. What is the percentage of grant available? So there is a mixture of percentages depending on what you are. If you are a community group, such as a community hall or a charity or a sports club that has no commercial income, then we can apply for up to 50% grant funding, okay? This used to be much easier for me to say. It used to be community group, you got 50% grant funding. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. There are state aid rules, EU state aid rules, which have, I'm going to say, been clamped down on a little bit harder. So now we need to prove quite strongly that the community group that wants 50% has no commercial activity involved with it. So again, we will help you if you're unsure whether you will be eligible. There is at least 30%, but we can apply for 50%. If we are happy that that it is full community group. We submit that prior to the application to SEAI. So we will say, whatever, Joe Blogg's community hall down in wherever parish, that they are wanting 50%. This is their details, and SEAI will say yes 50% or no 30%. Submit the application. So we will know that before we submit, but it is a process we have to go through, so it's not guaranteed that you will, if your community group, get 50%. Up to 30% funding for private sector buildings. So everybody else, if you're private sector or public sector, but if you're SME, hotel, large commercial building, private nursing home, etc., SMEs, any private sector building will get 30% grant funding. Public sector buildings also get 30% grant funding through this programme. Energy credits, again, I mentioned those a few minutes ago. So every project creates energy savings, okay, and I mentioned that already. So there's what we call the Energy Efficiency Obligation Scheme, or the EOS, exists across Europe and Ireland. It partakes in this, has to as well. As I said, they're what we call the participating energy supplier, or the obligated parties who have to oblige with to this EOS scheme. So the kilowatt hours that we are saving in our energy saving projects are traded to the participating energy supplier. So basically, we're selling your energy credits. What it means is that there is an additional payment for community and some domestic fuel projects across our region. Okay, so we have a energy policy that looks at who and what amount of energy credits you will get and how much extra money you will get out of that. We will forward on our energy policy because it's a whole separate document, one that I'm not going to go into too much detail for. If anybody has further queries on that after today, feel free to contact me anytime. As I said, it is what's the word? It's dependent, sorry, on the measurement and verification that we have to do 12 months after the project. Okay, so there are additional. It can be quite significant. I think off the top of my head, if I remember, and I should have looked this up before today. But in 2021, I think we paid out about 90. I think it was about around €90,000 worth of money on energy credits in 2021. So it can be not to one project, obviously, that's across all of the projects on the applications that we submit. So it is a significant amount of money that we get from trading the energy credits. Again, it's part of the application, do that as part of the application. If you have been or if you are already working with a participating energy supplier and sold your energy credits, then we need to know that straight away, because it just affects the application, because obviously we cannot sell the same credits twice. That's illegal for anybody in the country to do. So we need to know if you have already entered into an agreement with a participating energy supplier, then please let us know. So how do you get involved with us? So there's a link here, and again, these slides will be made available. There's a link here to where you can get involved and get more information and complete what we call the expression of interest form. And once you've done that, somebody will give you a call. This is the application process, and I'm just going to talk through it briefly because it is quite complicated. But you need to have there are certain stages of the application process that we need to know where you are, and depending on where you are on this stage, you will must. So the very first question I'm going to ask is, do you have an energy audit? Okay, so if you have an energy audit, that's great. You're going to miss all of these steps and you're going to come down to what we call stage 2. If you do not have an energy audit, that is okay. You can book an energy audit with us in the South East Energy Agency, or you can go to any other energy auditor in the region. We do not have to do the energy audit for the projects that are on our application. The beneficiary need to have an energy audit, but it does not need to be completed by us. We can, of course, do it. And if you need an energy audit, we will pass you on to our energy auditing team, who will discuss the timelines and the costs of completing an energy audit. You can go and get, as I said, an energy audit from a third party. The first stage is you need to come down here. You need to have an energy audit. Energy audit, and you want to go onto one of our applications, we will send you a contract between ourselves and yourselves. There are 2 contracts, either a project management contract or a project coordination contract, and I'm going to go briefly through the difference between the 2 contracts, or the 2 roles that we have. So once you've signed our contract, we'll work with you, we'll take your energy audit, and we'll talk to you about what are the energy upgrades that you're actually going to complete from the energy audit. So once you have them confirmed, or the question is, have you confirmed, do you know what you're going to do? Yes, that's great. Then again, you'll come down to the next stage. If you're not sure of what you're going to do, that's when our delivery engineer will talk to you and work with you on which projects you are going to deliver. So once you know which measures you're going to deliver, the next question here is, have you a contractor or have you quotations or prices for the works? Okay, and again, this all needs to be done before at the application stage, because the contractor prices need to be included within the application. Okay, and the reason for that is when we apply for a project, so the example I applied for €100,000 for a project, that was based on contractor price. So the contractor said, yes, I'm going to do that energy upgrade measure for you. It's going to cost €100,000, and gave us a price. We sent that to SEAI and they said, yes, we'll give you the 30% grant. What happens if contractor prices and we estimate a price? Your energy audit will have estimated prices in it. Okay, so an energy audit is not a pricing document. It is an energy audit, and it will have what we call estimated prices for each of the measures. If we use an estimated price when we go for the grant, So for example, we think the work is going to cost €100,000. We apply for grant on €100,000 and we're given 30%, which is €30,000. If we then go to procure the project and the project ends up costing, we get prices back from the contractors and the price actually ends up costing €125,000 because prices are so much higher now than they were 6 months ago. We will not get 30% of the 125,000. We will still only get 30% of the 100,000 because that's what we applied for at the time. It's really important that what we apply for at the time is the actual cost of what the works is going to be. Okay, so again, over the years we've seen lots of times where actually prices of work has come in much higher than we applied for. Projects can't go ahead or they don't get as much grant as they could have done. So it's really important at this stage that we're going to get our contractor quotes. Do you have them? So are you already working with a contractor and he's already given you a price? You come to us, we have an application fee, and we will work with you and your contractor to get them on. Again, if you do not have the contractor quotations or prices yet, that is okay. You can come. Again, Southeast Energy Agency can procure your works, or again, you can work yourself and go and get your third-party quotes. But we do need quotes on file and written quotes from contractors for the application. So once you have completed all of these stages, then we can get you onto the next grant application. Energy audits, I mentioned energy audits. Again, complete the energy audits, but of course we can do. There is a price, not only from us, but any energy auditor will charge you for an energy audit. There is a scheme at the moment, SEAI's Energy SME, which gives a €2,000 voucher towards the cost of an audit. So if you are a business or an SME, okay, that has a spend of over €10,000 a year on energy, then you can go and apply for a €2,000 energy audit voucher. Okay, there's a link again. There's a link here in the slides that you can go and apply. You have to be a business. You have to be registered in the Republic of Ireland, and you have to have an energy spend of at least €10,000 a year. So again, I know that some of you on the call today have been through this process and had your SEAI audit done. When you apply through the scheme, there is a drop-down menu of energy auditors. I am on that list, and there are others, 2 of us from the Southeast Energy Agency on that list. If you wish to go through us, then you choose our name at the application stage. As I said, you do not need to go through us, or you do not need to have us do the energy audit, but just letting you know that we can complete the energy audits through the scheme, and you choose us at the application stage. There'll be a drop-down menu to choose who you want to do your energy audit. If you're not eligible for the scheme, then unfortunately at the moment, as far as I'm aware, there are no other auditing schemes. So if you're not eligible for this €2,000 voucher, then you will just have to get prices for an energy audit to be done on your building. It is a mandatory part of the application. You do need to have an energy audit for your building. So I mentioned a few minutes ago the difference between the project coordinator and the project manager. Okay, so project coordinator, and again, if we go right up to the back to the start here, you'll see they are the project coordinator. Okay, so the Southeast Energy Agency is the project coordinator, which is one of the key roles within the project. So what is the project coordinator? The project coordinator pulls together the partnership for the application. So I mentioned already again the partnership there for the application and the different elements that needs to go on. So that is our job as the project coordinator, to pull this partnership together. We complete and submit the application with the lead applicant. So we work with the local authority and we complete and submit all of the documents. I won't go through them there in detail, but there is a large amount of documentation and plans and application forms that needs to be completed as part of the application. We then submit that to the SEAI, and when it is awarded, we do the project coordination of the grant awards and administration. There's again a lot of, I'm going to say, involved in these grant processes. You don't need to worry about all that. That is our job to do. And we liaise with the SEAI, with the lead applicant, and with you as the beneficiary throughout the project. So again, going back to that image I said, we are the ones in the middle, we liaise and work with all of the parties surrounding us in that process. We have to submit a monthly progress report to the SEAI. We coordinate and submit the payment claim. So again, I went through that earlier, that cash flow that you pay the contractor, but we submit the claim to the local authority, to the SEAI, and we work with the local authority to get that grant out to you. So we coordinate all of that and sign off all of that. The coordination of the grant payment from the lead applicants or from the local authority to you. And I've mentioned as well the completion of the energy credits trading. So we sell the energy credits. From a technical point of view, we also will do the final site inspection and the snag list or completion report. So we will come and check the quality of the work once it has been complete and make sure that everything has been completed as it should be and in line with the grant terms and conditions. We will also collate all of the technical handover documents. Just to give you example, my colleague who works in housing column is our housing engineer and delivered in 2021. I think it was 56 houses. He had some documents for every single house that was completed. Okay, so I don't want to scare you, but there is a lot of documentation. But again, you don't need to worry about that. That is our job. So we collate all of the technical handover documents. We make sure that the job is completed correctly and to the right quality, and we will sign off the final inspections of that work with the contractor. You will get a copy of all of the technical handovers documents, but more importantly, the SEAI also get a copy of all of the handover documents. We inspect every site. The SEAI will also inspect. So we work with the SEAI to complete what we call the post-works inspections. And then again, once I've mentioned already, we complete the measurement and verification. So that is the main role of the project coordinator. If you also want us to project manage the works, okay, so we can help. If you want us to project manage, I'm saying if you want to, some of you will already have project managers who are project managing your works. If you don't, we can add this on to what we do. This is where we will procure the work. So we will look at what measures you're doing, and we will specify what needs to be done, and we will go out to the contractors to get the prices. We will recommend the best contractor in terms of price and quality to do the work. We will then manage the site, the works on site for you. So we will do site inspections throughout the works with the contractor, and we will issue you with progress reports. We will also do the valuations and recommendations for payments to the contractor on completion of the works, and we will ensure the ongoing quality. So we will do everything that the project coordinator does, because that is our role. We have to do that. If you also want us to project manage, there is additional services that we can provide. Just another quick poll then, and I'm conscious of time, and I've got a few slides to go through, but I will I'll just stick this up for a second. Can I just ask or gauge how many of you already have your energy audit completed on your building, please? So Eilish is just going to stick up the next poll there. So just leave it up for a few seconds. Do you have, or how many of you already have an energy audit completed on your building?
Apologies, I don't seem to be able to throw up that poll at the moment. Apologies, Alex.
No problem at all. We'll come back to that one then. Okay, so procurement. So again, very important whether we are project managing and doing the procurement for you, or if somebody is project managing and you are procuring the works yourself. It does not matter to us, but it has to be done the correct way. So I've just taken a couple of shots here. This is from the terms and conditions of the grant, where it highlights procurement. I have summarized it there. A procurement process must be followed. Okay, we have to ensure that there is a competitive process. What I mean by that, in any disrespect at all, you cannot go to your friend and say, or your local electrician and say, how much is that job going to cost? Yes, you've got it. Okay. To show value for money, and we have to receive quotes in writing. Okay, that has to be completed, has to be what we call, or what the SEAI call, a competitive process. Now, I'm not saying that your local electrician can't do the work, but you have to get him to price or her to price, as well as a minimum of 2 other people. Okay, so we need a minimum of 3 quotes. I've got written there in brackets requested. You have to ask 3 people in writing for works. If only one person responds and gives you a price, that is okay, but we have to show that you have at least gone out to the market and asked for 3 quotes. Okay, so whether you have done that because you are your project manager or we are doing that for you through that, we have what is called a dynamic purchase system, or a DPS. This is a framework of contractors that we have who have done a lot of work with us in the past and who have delivered these energy efficient projects with us. Have a framework of contractors that we can go to get them to quote, and that satisfies the SEAI in terms of the competitive process and the procurement process. So I'm just pointing that out. We do need to have, and again, this goes in with our application. If you have a contractor who has quoted the works at €100,000, we send in that written quote with the application. Just another quick poll there, Ailish, I'm not sure if this is going to work. Do you have contractor prices or procurement complete? If we can get that one up.
Sorry, Alex, I've just asked for some technical support there. I'll see if someone's able to share that.
Okay, perfect. I've got, yeah, that one's up there. So for any of you, again, just so that I can get, thanks, Ailish, just so that I can get an idea, how many of you already have your contractor quotes or have work priced? A few, but most of you don't. Okay, perfect. Ailish, you might see if we can go back maybe in a slide or two, if we could get that energy audit one as well, and just again so that we can have a rough idea. So great. Some of you have your prices. That's giving me an idea that there's a few of you that are definitely ready to go very quickly. If you've already got your contractor prices in, that's great. Some of you don't, or the majority of you don't, and that's absolutely no problem. There is still time to do that. Okay, perfect. We'll move on there. Thank you.
Alex, just to let you know,
Oh,
there
sorry.
we're just at a quarter to there now, quarter to 3.
Perfect. Quick couple of last slides. I know we might run over. As I said, we can certainly stay on a bit longer if needed, or we can ask questions and answer questions later. Just to give you a rough idea of our timeframes, and again, the SEAI now have so there used to be a deadline of applications in January. They would issue the grants around April, May time, and then we'd all have to have the work done by October. So it was a very, very quick and I'm not going to lie, stressful time period. So they have now opened up since last year, since 2022, this rolling, it's an ongoing application process. So we in the Energy Agency, we are submitting an application every 3 to 4 months. Our next application we are hoping to submit is, not hoping, we will be submitting is in November 2023. So in about 6-7 weeks time, we will be submitting our next application for the grants program. So following on from that, we've given a rough time period, a rough timeline. Okay, works cannot start before what we call the letter of offer. So once we have submitted the application in November, the application goes through an evaluation process and is approved by the SEAI board before they say, yes, you are getting the grant, and they say, yes, you're getting the grant letter of offer. Okay, you cannot start work before the letter of offer. So if you are wanting a new EV charger, for example, we apply for it now. We hope to get the letter of offer around February. Okay, you cannot install. If you install your EV charger in January, it is no longer eligible for grants. So even though we might get a letter afterwards saying, yes, if you have completed the work before the letter of offer, it is no longer eligible for grants. So you cannot start for the letter of offer. Once we get the letter of offer, we have 12 months to complete works. Okay, so at the very least, we have until February. Again, this is an estimate, February 2025. And again, I mentioned earlier, the M&V kind of 9 to 12 months later, we complete what's verification. So that's a kind of rough timeline of the next application. Quick poll, and again, we're short on time, so just very quickly for 30 seconds, what are you interested in? So are you looking at building fabric upgrades? That's our insulation, our windows and doors. Are you looking at heating system upgrades, electrical systems, so new pumps, new air handling units, for example? Are you looking at EV chargers? Are you looking at renewable projects, etc.? So just another 10 seconds, please, on that. Again, that just gives us a quick idea of what kind of project are you looking at, and some of you may, of course, be looking at more than one of those. So perfect. I'll just leave that up for another 10 seconds. So that's great. Yeah, multiple choices, so you can choose more than one. You can choose more than one. Again, most of you hopefully will be doing more than one measure. Okay, so that's good. So there's a good few people looking at renewable systems there. Excuse me. So I'm hoping, and again, just a reminder, renewable systems need to be matched with other building fabric and heating upgrades, or sorry, electrical system upgrades, whatever it is. They cannot, in general, be a standalone measure. Okay, perfect. Thanks for that, Ailish. And again, that's giving us a great idea of what we have there. Documents required. So again, once we get to the once we get to the application stage, we've gone through all those stages. You've got your energy audit done, we've got our procurement, our quotes, and we've got you on the application. These are a few other documents that you will need to get us. So we will need a VAT letter from you. So a VAT letter, if you are looking for grant VAT, you will need to get a VAT letter from revenue. Again, in general, this is no problem to community groups and to local authorities, etc. In general, SMEs and businesses that claim their VAT back at the end of the year will not get grants on the VAT. Okay, so this in general relates to community buildings or not non-commercial groups. You will need to have a declaration of financial resources. There is a template that we sent to you just to say, yes, we have the money to pay for the works. You will need to provide us with a bank statement that shows your IBAN and your BIC number. You will need to provide us with your tax clearance certificates, which is your tax clearance, your tax access numbers. Okay, so again, you need to provide these at application stage. If you're looking for 50% grant funding, then we need a confirmation that you are a not-for-profit charity or community group with no commercial standing. Okay, so again, if we don't get that, then it's a default of 30% grant rather than the 50% grant. If you are part of an SEC, and if I recall from our poll earlier in the afternoon, there's a good number of SECs, so we need a letter of support from an SEC. If you are with an SEC participant, the SEC knows, yes, you are part of our SEC and you are doing projects. A couple of examples then in the next 2 minutes, and then I'll open up the floor to questions. So just a couple of examples. Community a couple of years ago, they did boiler upgrades, attic insulation, wall insulation, put in new windows, and a lighting upgrade. You can see the pictures there of the before and the after inside the hall. It was absolutely lovely. Total cost of work was €81,000. They received 50% grant, so it was over €40,000 worth of grant. And the savings, they saved 22% of their energy bills when we did the M&V a year later. So it was almost a quarter of their energy was saved. So €680 a year was being saved, which was a quarter of their energy consumption. SOS in Kilkenny. Again, we did the attic insulation, pumped cavity walls, and they got a heating upgrade. It was a hybrid heating pod that they got in. So again, there was 50% grant funding for SOS. There was €167,000 spent on the work of grant. And again, savings after the first year was 15% energy savings. So they were saving over €9,000 a year on their energy bills by doing these upgrades. Loughlin Gales GAA Club, again, timing controls on fridges. So again, they had fridges that were on constantly, but in reality only needed to cool the drinks a couple of hours before the games or before they needed to be cooled. So we put timing controls on the fridges. Of LED lighting upgrades and attic and wall insulation. So again, the building fabric coming first. So again, €53,000 worth of work, €26,000 worth of work of grant. And they saved €7,500 a year, which was over 40% of their energy was reduced by doing these upgrades. So just a quick couple of examples there of the projects that we have done. I said I was going to talk for about 30 or 40 minutes, and I have spoken for 50 minutes. So floor, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And I know, Ailish, I can see that there's a few questions in the chat there. So if you want to
yeah, certainly, I think, Alex,
we can see what we can answer.
Some of the questions in the beginning have been covered already, but I'll just pick a few there now. So one of the questions is, how long roughly is the payment cycle of getting the money back from SEAI?
Sorry, say that again, Eilish.
How long does it take?
The payment cycle?
Yeah.
Good question. So I don't mean to be evasive on this question. It's going to depend on at what stage you complete your project. Okay, so again, remembering that this is a group application. Okay, once we get what we call the letter of offer, we have 12 months to complete the work. Let's say that there's 10 projects. One of you might finish your project within the first month, and we will put in the payment claim straight away. And in general, the grant comes back. It can come back within kind of 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, everything going well. If nobody finishes and we have 10 projects finishing in month 12, okay, now we're working with 12 projects in a very short period of time. It will take longer because now the SEAI have to go through 12 projects in a couple of weeks. And in general, if that happens, it can be 2 to 3 months back from SEAI as opposed to the 4 to 6 weeks. So I hope that kind of answers your question. In general, if you have paid a contractor in week 1, we will have the submission to the SEAI for the payment claim within 3 to 4 weeks of that. And then it can take SEAI 4 to 6 weeks, but depending on where it is in the process, it could take 2 to 3 months. Okay. This may be prohibitive for many community groups who would need a bridging loan. Yes, Irene, I understand that. And it totally, as I said, it totally depends on are in the process and how fast SEAI can get their money. A lot of the community financing institutes that do the bridging loans are well aware of the SEAI and well aware of the barriers, let's say, and the timeframes involved. So they are usually very, very good and very understanding. But I do hear what
are there any grants available for new builds?
No, not through this program. There are other grants through what is called, there may be grants available through what's called the Exceed program. Okay, so we do not work directly with the Exceed program. The Exceed program is excellent in energy efficiency design. If you are building a new build, you have to build to the current building regulations. If you want to build better standard in terms of energy efficiency to that, then you can get support through the program. But that's the only grants that are available, as far as I'm aware, for new builds.
And Alex, you might just talk again about our fees, the €300 fee that's involved, and as well project management fees.
Yes, so these yeah, you're right. I didn't mention this as for next time, Eilish, remember me to add this in. So we have an application fee. So if you want to go through the application, and I showed you the processes that are all involved and all of the documents to complete. So there is a €300 fee for that application. Following on from that, there are the project coordination or project management fees, and that is based on a percentage of your cost. And actually, now that I think about it, we did have a slide on this, so we've lost it somewhere along the way. So it's part of that example. So to go back to that example of a €100,000 project, our project fee would be 5%. Our project management fee would be 7.5%. So it is also, our project management and project coordination fee is also grant aided. Okay, so for example, if we had a project of €100,000, which we had in that example, our project management fee at 7.5% would be €7,500. If you are getting 30% grant, then you will get 30% back on that €7,500 as well.
Okay, thanks, Alex. And if somebody is outside of the 4 counties that we generally cover, where do they go to apply for a similar grant?
There are other project coordinators. We deal with projects all around the southeast, but also other regions. So we have and we can include projects outside of our 4 counties on our applications. So if you want to get in touch with us, we can. If you want to go on other applications on the SEAI's website, there is a link. If you look up the Community Energy Grant page, there is a Find a Project Coordinator page. So you follow the link, and it will outline all of the other project coordinators and where they are located in the country. But don't worry, I mean, we work primarily in the southeast, but we every project from many other counties on our application. So if you want to go with us, that's no problem at all.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Can a group of businesses be applied together, you know, into one? I'm sorry, I've lost the question now. I had it there a moment ago.
I can see one here before whilst you're finding
Yeah,
that
about
one.
coffee shops. Sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry. Which one is it? I can see one here
Can a
about
group of businesses, e.g. coffee shops, apply as a community?
apply as a community. Yes is the yes. So a community is more than one building or more than one organization. So again, it's the partnership that I spoke about earlier. There has to be a partnership. An individual organization cannot apply for a grant. So there has to be a partnership. There has to be a partnership across the different sectors of business, community, residential and non-residential. So there has to be a housing element to these applications as well. So you as a, I'm not fully sure of the exact question, Sinead, is it? But you as a group of businesses can apply, but you will still need to apply through a project coordinator on this group application, if that makes sense.
And then I'll just pick one more here, Alex. If an organization doesn't have a charity number, how does that affect their application?
If you're a community group and you're going for 50%, is the question there, and you don't have a charity number, then we can still apply for 50% if you are a community group, and we will look at what is happening in the building. What we do is we have to show the SEAI what is happening in the building. It may be a community building, but there may be a commercial element to that building. I'm going to give you an example because it happened in the last couple of years. A community building where there was a creche being run out of it. So even though it was a community building, they were hiring out part of the building to a creche, and therefore that is seen as a commercial element to the building is no longer seen from an SEAI, from a state aid rule point of view. It can no longer be seen as a community building and get 50% grant. It's down to the state aid rules whether there is a commercial or not. So it's not that you're not a community building, it's from a state aid point of view. If there is a commercial element, the maximum grant that can be given, awarded across Europe is 30%. So it's a state aid rule issue. So that's just one example off the top of my head. It was a community building, but they were renting an area out to a creche, which was a commercial entity. So if you don't have a charity, you don't need to be a registered charity to apply for the 50%. But again, if there's a specific group there that's asking that question that you're unsure of, you can contact us separately afterwards, and we can talk to you about that.
Okay, I think we've covered.
Okay, I'm conscious of time. It is 3 o'clock. Is it? Yeah, it's 3 o'clock. I'm not sure if there's any other questions or what we will do is we will go through these questions. We'll pull them all together on a sheet and we will answer them and send them round to everybody. If we have missed any, I am conscious of time. But I would like to thank everybody for attending. We've had a great number of people on the call today. As I said, we will be sending round, Eilish will be in contact with everybody. She'll send round the slides and the recording of today. And as I said, in the next couple of days, we will pull together answers to all of the questions that were asked. Apologies if we've missed any. I know that we're over time now, but thank you very much, everybody, for attending.